Welcome, Bills Mafia. I am the Big O Jerry Ostroski, and this is the Overreaction Buffalo Daily Report for April 22nd, 2025. The Buffalo Bills players reported yesterday as the offseason officially began at One Bills Drive. This is the first available date the teams with established head coaches could report. Obviously, Sean McDermott, longtime head coach of the Buffalo Bills, so their first day to report yesterday, April 21st. Also of note, today was the first day under new head strength and conditioning coach, Will Greenberg. Greenberg is someone that the players are very, very familiar with. Greenberg has been in Buffalo for just over 8 years. He was a longtime assistant under Bills strength and conditioning coach Eric Ciano, who was let go this offseason. And Will Greenberg takes over the weight room for the Buffalo Bills. It'll be interesting to see some of the projects and things he needs to do this offseason. One of those main projects being Dalton Kincaid, his overall size, and just the overall form and shape of the team as we have had some injury issues. Hopefully, Coach Greenberg can work on those things this offseason and get those things taken care of. Also, this is the start of the OTA season in the NFL. And the Bills' OTA offseason workouts will be May 27th through the 29th, June 2nd and 3rd, also June 5th. And then they will have a mandatory minicamp June 10th through the 12th. And if you remember, I'm going to go ahead and explain it to you. There's a bunch of phases that each team has to go through. Part of the new collective bargaining agreement that was voted on and passed a few years ago between the league and the NFLPA. Bills right now coming in, they're in phase 1, and that's for meetings, strength and conditioning, and physical rehabilitation. Phase 2 then is for individual and group drills, and phase 3 is for organized team practice activities. So if you look at phase 1, the players are able to spend 4 hours a day at the facility. This phase 1 lasts for 2 weeks, and it's limited to strength and conditioning activities, dead ball, meaning no ball, and only strength and conditioning coaches are allowed on the field. And real quick, the dead ball explanation is as such. Quarterbacks can throw to receivers with no coverage. Kickers and punters can kick, but players cannot field the ball, and no snappers or holders can be involved. Long snappers can work into a net, and defensive players may not catch footballs at all, regardless of who is throwing to them. So pretty interesting. And the Buffalo Bills, like I said, part of this phase 1, they've got the limited strength and conditioning activities and all that. 90 minutes on the field. That's the maximum they can be out there. The clubs can only specify 2 hours for the players to be at the facility, and then the players choose the other 2 hours for weights, etc. So hence the 4 hours a day. If you go to phase 2, which is also another phase, players are only at the facility for 4 hours a day. That phase is 3 weeks. And the same rules apply as phase 1, except coaches now are allowed on the field. Individual and perfect play drills are allowed. No offense versus defense, no one-on-ones, and no helmets. So that's what goes on during phase 2. But the big thing about phase 2, coaches are allowed to be on the field evaluating and coaching. Phase 3, you bump up to 6 hours a day. You got 4 weeks total of phase 3. 3 weeks of that are for 10 total OTA workouts. You can have a maximum of 3 OTAs each week for the first 2 weeks. During weeks 1 and 2, a fourth non-OTA workout is allowed, but phase 2 rules apply. So this is kind of calculus, folks. We're getting into high mathematics with all these rules. Also, a maximum of 4 OTAs for the 3rd and 4th week. 1 week will be set aside for minicamp. No pads are allowed except for protective knee and elbow pads. Helmets are permitted. No live contact, which if you played football, you know there's probably more contact without pads than there are with pads. But the rules specify in phase 3, no live contact. 7-on-7, 9-on-7, and 11-on-11 drills will be permitted, provided no live contact takes place. Good luck with that, folks. Good luck with that. Mini camp, you have a maximum of 24 hours over 3 days. Physicals on Monday, but no practice. Practices are Tuesday through Thursday with a day off on Friday. And you're allowed 2 practices totaling 3.5 hours on the field per day. And then you also have a second practice limited to walkthrough activities only. So get a lot of questions about OTAs and the new rules that go with it. Really, really interesting stuff. All of this stuff, again, like I said earlier, was negotiated under the latest collective bargaining agreement from the NFL Players Association along with league owners. And lots and lots of rules, something these players should be used to. They did it last year. It's the NFLPA's way of trying to take away the mandatory stuff and really the wear and tear and grind on these players in the offseason when you start considering 17 regular season games, not counting playoffs. And then you also got the preseason. It is a good thing to try to take care of the players. But then again, they're in the building. They're learning. They're getting a ton of meeting time. They're in the playbooks. They're watching cut-ups and things like that on the video screens. So they're getting their time learning what's going on. But again, Bills veterans reported yesterday to One Bills Drive, and that is the schedule as we roll through the offseason and head towards fall camp, which will kick off in late July. Just real quick, some draft chatter that was heard today. One of the things that was reported by Brian Brodus of 105.3 The Fan in Dallas. He reports that Derek Harmon, defensive lineman from Oregon, a target possibly for the Buffalo Bills as they try to bolster that defensive tackle position, obviously the nose position, which we're a couple days away from the draft, and we'll find out what the Bills do in the first round. But he has a possible shoulder issue. So something to be looking out for. Brodus goes on to say that Harmon's draft stock is dropping because of this shoulder issue, and I'm sure we'll find out more as we get closer to the draft and probably on draft day as well. And Harmon is going to be one of those players that the Bills consider either staying at 30 to take or maybe trying to move up in the first round to get one of those premier inside defensive tackles and or a cornerback in this year's draft to plug and play and get ready for next season as Brandon Beane and the Bills staff tries to get that defense up to the level that Bills offense has been for the last so many years. But again, we'll be here every day, 10 a.m. Eastern Time, 9 a.m. Central. Overreaction Buffalo Daily Report. It'll be hosted by me, the Big O Jerry Ostroski. So for everybody, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, review the shows, tell your friends. We appreciate you as always. And right here on this show, as I like to say, as always, folks, much love. Go Bills.